Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico.
Hey, happy last day of the heat wave if you're in the area.
Yeah, and most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about some predetermined topics. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you'd like to get a comment, question, thought, opinion, observation, theory on the show for us to address, go ahead and use our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Send it on in, and as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, we will answer it in the last part of the show. Also, here's the good news about this tip link is that it's good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So even if you're not watching this show when it's being streamed live, you can still send in a question any time of the day. And if you send it in when we're not streaming live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right. With that down, guys, let's get on to it here, shall we? Ever since the first trailer for Wild Robot came out, which I don't know if you remember, guys, but like when that trailer dropped, we all watched and was like, holy crap, this looks amazing. Like I remember getting kind of emotional, not as emotional as watching the Christopher Reeve Superman documentary trailer. That almost had me in tears. But like the Wild Robot trailer, like pretty much had us kind of in a, like feeling emotional. It looked amazing. Couldn't wait to see it. The marketing campaign's been very good. I don't know if it's going to do all that great at the box office because it's an unknown property, all that kind of stuff, but it looks really good. Well, the first reviews are now out. And while there aren't many of them, it is a lot of the big major trades. And so far, every single one is positive. It's holding a 100%. Granted, we'll see how high it is once more of the reviews come flooding in. But here's some of the first reviews for this. RogerEbert.com wrote, "One could watch The Wild Robot with the sound off entirely and still have a rewarding experience. Turn it on, and you have one of the best animated films of the decade." The South China Morning Post wrote, "An indelibly beautiful film that will engrave itself on your heart." Collider wrote, "Featuring colorful characters and transformative lighting, The Wild Robots look like a storybook and features some frames and animations so striking that you would probably be thrilled to have them framed and hung in your home." Deadline wrote, "If Spielberg's E.T. had been an animated film instead, it might resemble what writer-director Chris Sanders has created here. However, Wild Robot weaves its own magic, and for that we can all cry tears of joy." Variety writes, "There's never been an animated movie that reflects the world in quite this way. While the animals are somewhat disappointingly designed, the expressionistic environments can take one's breath away." Alonzo over at Film Verdict wrote, "If the story sounds like it contains the DNA of earlier films like The Iron Giant, Fly Away Home, and How to Train Your Dragon, it does, but writer-director Chris Sanders finds enough grace notes to let the story stand on its own." I love this one from Awards Watch, who wrote, "The Wild Robot is destined to be a classic. Not only will it help children discover their compassion and kindness, but it will help adults regain theirs." I love that. I love that quote so much, I'm going to read it again. "The Wild Robot is destined to be a classic. Not only will it help children discover their compassion and kindness, it will help adults regain theirs." I've said this before on the show, I've got a soft spot in my heart for movies that have you leaving the movie theater being motivated to become a better person. You know what I mean? Like that one Mr. Rogers documentary totally did that for me. There are movies that come out that motivate you to want to be a better man or a better person, and I love that it kind of sounds like this will do that as well. So the reviews are coming out, and like we expected, they sound pretty top notch. I have pretty much seen all the trailers I think I need to see now, which, I mean, they've probably already had the final trailer that we're going to get. But the damn thing looks great. I'm so excited for this. It sounds amazing. It looks amazing. The reviews are amazing. So, we'll see how that all comes across. The question is for you guys. Where are your expectations right now for The Wild Robot? Were you moved by the trailers the way I was moved by the trailers? Are you surprised to hear just how positive they are? Where do you think the rating will end up? I mean, obviously it's not going to hold 100% forever, but where do you think it's going to end up? And how excited are you for this movie, if at all? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, Marvel's Disney Plus offerings, hell, all of Disney Plus offerings, if we want to be more big picture about it, have been, to be kind, hit or miss, right? Like, yes, we've had WandaVision, and we've had Andor, and we've had at least the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, but we've also had, you know, Ahsoka. We've also had The Acolyte. On the Marvel side, we had Secret Invasion. We had Echo. I mean, it's, again, they've had some wins, but a lot of losses. Now, one of the things that Marvel had been criticized before is that they've been approaching their TV shows like movies and failing at both. You know what I mean? And so one of the things that we discovered a long time ago was that one of the reasons for that was that Marvel was not, with Disney Plus, approaching TV shows the way TV shows are made, with a showrunner, somebody in charge of a show, you know, the traditional writer's room, all that kind of stuff. And while they killed it with WandaVision and Ms. Marvel, and to a degree with Loki, you could really see the shortcomings in their approach. Well, we found out a little while ago, after Bob Chapek left and stuff like that, they made some changes, and they said they were going to start adopting a more traditional approach to television shows, the way shows like Yellowstone or House of the Dragon or, you know, Breaking Bad have been approached, with a showrunner. And we're about to see the fruits of that change with the first show that they're doing with a showrunner in Agatha. This comes to us from the director who writes this. Initially, Marvel Studios strived to create and produce its Disney Plus projects with just a head writer instead of a showrunner, a role that most other major TV shows such as House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, and Yellowstone rely heavily upon. These head writers would lead the series' script development, but come production time, would relinquish control of the show to its directors and producers, like you would with a movie. This mirrors the approach that Marvel Studios has taken on many of its successful movies, and so it's not a huge surprise that they wanted to try to maintain it for its television projects. But now, Agatha All Along will be Marvel Studios' first live-action Disney Plus project with a showrunner at the helm, who is none other than WandaVision's head writer and creator, Jack Schaefer. Schaefer is also credited as a director on 3 episodes of Agatha. So it's going to be really interesting to see how much creative approach and style of creative approach has impacted the overall quality of Marvel's television shows. Because, again, one of the big main differences, we talk about this a lot, between like the movie world and the television world is that in the movie world, the director is the one ultimately the main cog in the engine, the one most responsible for how good or how bad a movie turns out. In the world of television, that's the showrunner, who oversees everything about a show, and directors of the individual episodes ultimately work for the showrunner as well. The showrunner leads the writer's room. The showrunner's in control of all the creative decisions. It comes down to the showrunner. Because in a television series, you know, you can have 5 directors, 6 directors, 10 directors in a season working on different episodes of a show at a different time. So you need to have that one person controlling the overall vision. Marvel decided to do it the way they make their movies. You know, Jonathan and I were talking about this before the show started, about how, remember I said, like, I get why they would try that.
Yeah.
Like, I get why they would take a swing and try that because it has worked for the movies, and maybe try something different. But I mean, it clearly hasn't worked.
And they went on too long. The experiment ran for too long.
Yeah, see, that's the key, right? That's the key to trying new things. Mm-hmm. Be willing to fail fast.
Right.
Like, recognize, like, hey, take big swings, take chances, try something new, but just recognize, hey, if this isn't working, pivot.
Yeah.
go in a different direction. It's taken them a while to get here, but it's going to be interesting to see how Agatha all along functions with, again, the person who was the main lead writer for WandaVision, which has been their best show. I mean, not only their best show, but it's been their best show by miles. It's going to be interesting to see how having the lead writer from Agatha on this is going to feel. And look, I'll tell you what, I know there's a lot of people out there, probably a lot of you guys watching, who are feeling kind of apathetic, specifically about Agatha all along. I can't wait for this. I cannot wait for this show. I think this show is going to be great. I love Catherine Hahn. I love the character in WandaVision. Now that they're running it as a traditional showrunner style show, I have really liked the trailers. I think this is going to be great. Now, I'm not excited about a lot of other coming Marvel Disney Plus shows, right? Like Ironheart, don't care. Wonder Man, I'm curious about, because Yahya Abdul-Mateen is in the lead, so that will always get me at least semi-interested, but I'm not really interested in that show. I don't even know what else they're going to be doing. But this one, I'm just telling y'all are sleeping on Agatha all along. You are sleeping on this show. I think it's going to be great. Then again, I thought Secret Invasion was going to be great.
Well,
and look how that turned out.
You had access to some of the writing there.
So I had the scripts. I liked the scripts. The scripts were good. It read well. Mm-hmm. It read well. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all turns out. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We're about to very quietly see a very major change with how Marvel approaches their Disney Plus shows. We're going to get Agatha all along. That's going to have a traditional showrunner, the same person who kind of oversaw the development and the creation of WandaVision, which is by far their best show. Where's your anticipation level right now? Admit it, there's a lot of people out there who aren't all that jazzed for it. I don't know, because it doesn't look like there were a lot of explosions or whatever, but I think this is going to be great. Whatever you guys think right now, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Shogun. One of the best shows I've seen in a long time. Has just broken the record for the most Emmy wins by any show in a single year.
More like show one.
Show one? Ray is very disappointed. Ray did not like that one.
Monday, man. Come on.
It's Monday. The previous record for the most Emmys ever won was not long ago held by Game of Thrones, which won 12 twice. Then recently, White Lotus broke that record with 13. Shogun has now destroyed the record by winning 14. Wait, John, time out. Wait a minute, you might be saying. But John, you just said it destroyed the record. It just broke the record by 1. What do you mean destroyed? Yeah, here's the thing. The Emmys are done over 2 weekends. It just broke the record on the first weekend. It still can win up to like 6 more next weekend.
They're like the Shohei Ohtani of series.
Yes, they're the Shohei Ohtani of series. Get this. So they have already, this past weekend at the Peacock Theater in downtown Los Angeles, they held the first weekend of the Emmys, what they call the Creative Arts Emmys, still of the Emmys, and it took home awards in the categories of Best Cinematography, Best Editing, Best Costumes, Best Production Design, Best Sound Design, Best Makeup, Best Sound Mixing, Best Visual Effects, Best Casting, Best Title Design, Best Hair. Hell, it even won in the only acting category that was brought up that night for Best Guest Actor, Nestor Carbonell, who was in the Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight movies.
He was the mayor.
As the mayor. He was also Deflator Mouse in The Tick.
He was in, he was like
He's in a lot of stuff.
He was in Lost. He was like the stranger, or he was the smoke monster. I can't remember.
No. He wasn't the smoke monster. That was the guy from Sons of Anarchy. But he was one of the guys in Lost. He's been all over the place. So it's already, after the first weekend, broken the record for most Emmy wins. Next weekend, it is still nominated on the second weekend or the main night it is still up for and can win Best Writing, Best Directing, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actress, Best Lead Actor, Best Series. It still has a ton it can win. And by the way, it's going to win them all. It's going to win them all. It's a foregone conclusion that it's going to win Best Series, right? That's a foregone conclusion. It's absolutely going to win Best Actor. It's absolutely going to win Best Actress. It has a very strong chance of winning Best Supporting Actor. It's got 2 of its supporting actors up for that award. It's absolutely going to win Best Direction, and it's absolutely going to win Best Writing. So you had the record was 12, and then, it gets broken by 1, 13. This is going to break this record by like 4 or 5 or 6. Like, this is sheer absolute dominance. Guys, the reason I bring all this up is because I know there are still a lot of you guys who have not watched Shogun. You've got to watch Shogun. It's so good. It's absolutely phenomenal. And this is the one. Now, here's the funny thing. Going back 4 or 5 years when Disney did that big infamous Investor Day call and they streamed it and they announced, it was the same day that they announced Fantastic Four was coming and that X-Men was coming and all these tons of other announcements. The 2 that had me most excited was The Acolyte. Well, yeah, we saw how that turned out. But the other one was Shogun. A show that I've been saying when everybody said to me, what's something you want to see come back to TV? I always say, for my whole life, my answer has always been Shogun. Bring back Shogun. Somebody do Shogun. And then when they announced Shogun on that thing, I lost my mind. Some of you guys probably watched that live stream I did when we were covering the Investor Days call. I lost my mind. And so I was setting myself up for disappointment, just like I was with Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power Season 1. Because remember, I was so excited for Rings of Power Season 1, like for like 2 years, I was like hyped, couldn't believe it. And then it let me down. Was Shogun going to do it too? It did not. It was everything I hoped it would be and more. And guys, you got to watch this show. And I don't know when another show, like this thing's going to end up winning minimum 20 Emmys. The previous record was 13. Well, I shouldn't say minimum 20. I'll say minimum 18. Minimum 18 could win 20 or more. The previous record was 13. I don't know when another show is going to do this again. I really don't. I don't know if it'll ever be done again. And so, guys, do yourselves a favor. Load up Hulu. Go on, or I think they also have it on Disney Plus now, right? Yep. So it's also on Disney Plus.
Yeah, you're right. It's not. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they put it on both. Load up Disney Plus, load up Hulu, whichever one you want. If you have not watched Shogun, guys, go start watching Shogun and get caught up on the show that's about to like set a mark that is not going to be beaten for years. Mm-hmm. And it could not happen to a better show. It's so freaking good. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you guys had a chance to see Shogun? If so, are you surprised at all that it already broke the record for most Emmy wins by a show in a single year after just the first weekend, and it still has the second weekend to go? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about an absolute acting legend. Kathy Bates, Emmy and Academy Award winner actress Kathy Bates, has announced she's getting ready to hang him up and retire after her new series that comes out. Also, Beetlejuice just dominated at the box office, becoming the second biggest September opening in history and the third biggest opening this year. We're going to talk about that and a few things more, but before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Manscaped, and of course, at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Today, I am thrilled to unveil the latest masterpiece from Manscaped, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in forged gold. Welcome to the golden era of grooming where precision, luxury, and performance meet. In a world where grooming tools come and go, Manscaped is setting the gold standard with this special edition trimmer. If you want to make your grooming routine a statement of sophistication and style, this is the tool that you need. Just a quick PSA though, there are limited quantities available in this color, so you gotta act fast if you want this. Listen, guys, I know that there are still a lot of you who are trying to do personal grooming the old archaic way like I used to do, using the stupid trimmer on your electric razor or some other archaic tools. Look, if you're gonna do it that way, just rename yourself the Butcher of Balltown. It is time to step into the golden era with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Gold. You too can experience unparalleled precision with the next-gen dual skin-safe blade heads, one trimmer blade and one foil blade designed for flawless performance. It's time to join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped for all their grooming needs and get the special edition Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in forged gold while supplies last. So get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. Hey guys, it's John here. You know, as kids, we're always learning new things, whether it's how to ride a bike, play an instrument, or even ace that math test. But as adults, it seems like we lose a bit of that natural curiosity. When was the last time you learned something new just for the fun of it, like new skills, a new language, or maybe just how to finally beat your best friend at that game? You know, therapy can be a fantastic way to reconnect with that sense of wonder. It's like going back to school, but this time it's for you. It's about learning new coping skills, setting boundaries, and empowering yourself to become the best version of you. And the best part, it's not just for those who have experienced major trauma. It's for anyone looking to grow and learn more about themselves. If you've ever thought about starting therapy, why not give BetterHelp a try? It's completely online, making it super convenient and flexible to fit into your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a quick questionnaire and you'll be matched with a licensed therapist who fits your needs. Plus, if things aren't clicking, you can always switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. So rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Campea today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. Take the first step to being your best self. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp and Manscaped for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to this, shall we? You know, there are a number of actors and actresses in Hollywood who very quietly go on to have iconic careers that you don't even really think about until you bring them up and start thinking about all the stuff they've done. One such performer is Kathy Bates. Of course, whenever we think of Kathy Bates, we'll think, of course, of Misery, for which she won an Academy Award. She's just and she's always great in anything she's always in, even when she's popping up in The Office. What was her name? Jo Bennett.
Jo Bennett.
The owner of Dunder Mifflin in The Office. She was great in that. But did you know that Kathy Bates, very quietly, had 4 Oscar nominations in her career with a win and 2 Emmy wins with 14 Emmy nominations. She's an absolute legend. She's amazing. She carries a power about her when she's on screen. I remember seeing her in About Schmidt. Obviously, I've already thought she was great before that, but in About Schmidt, I'm like, my God, she's amazing. She's so good. Anyway, Kathy Bates has a new show coming out on CBS called Matlock. And it is not, to my surprise, because I just watched the trailer for it this morning. I thought it was like a remake, a revival of Matlock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Only now but it's not. They even, in the trailer for it, she goes, "My name's Millie Matlock," like the old TV show.
Right.
So it's called Matlock, and she's an old lawyer like the Andy Griffith Show, but she lives in a world where the old Andy Griffith Show was a television show. Anyway, I thought the trailer was actually really great. I'm a sucker for these legal law shows, probably because of my background. So I'm going to be watching it. But here's the thing. Kathy Bates has just announced that this is going to be it. That Matlock is it, and then she's hanging it up. This comes to us from Deadline, who writes this. After 5 decades in Hollywood, Oscar and Emmy-winning actress Kathy Bates says she is ready to yell cut. The esteemed performer will put away her scripts following CBS's reboot of Matlock, premiering on September 22nd and later dropping on Paramount+. This is my last dance, she told the New York Times simply in a new interview published on Sunday. Now, it goes on to talk about the fact that she had previously considered retiring before this. She had previously considered even before doing Matlock, but she said the Matlock script came across. She loved the whole philosophy behind it. And she said, I'll do this, and then that's it, and I'm hanging them up. So just for a quick second, again, let me mention, I think this Matlock show looks pretty fun. I'm definitely going to give it a shot just because, like I said, I'm a sucker for these legal procedurals, whether it's, Boston Legal or The Practice or, whatever else. So I'm going to give this a shot, and it's Kathy Bates because I always like her. I have a couple of thoughts about Kathy Bates retiring. My first thought is, actors aren't like professional athletes where, even Kobe had to finally acknowledge my body's breaking down. I can't do this anymore. Time to call it quits. In a year or two, LeBron is going to have to do the same thing. Michael Jordan. At some point, your body can't do the things it used to be able to do, and you got to call it quits. But acting is different, right? Acting's different. You can be, Clint Eastwood. He hasn't been anything lately, but that dude can still do it. So part of me wants to say to Kathy Bates, Kathy, why? Yeah, you're getting older, but by Hollywood standards, you ain't ancient. She's 76. She's 76. She's got a lot left in her, man. And so part of me would want to say that. But at the same time, there's the other thought, also the athlete side. Go out on top. Now, Kathy Bates isn't exactly the top of the A-list these days, but still, there's something about, you know what? Everybody loves me. Everybody respects my work. I'm still getting Emmy nominations and when I'm doing stuff. You know what? I've done it long enough. Time to hang it up. I got other things I want to do. I want to lead a private life. I want to go do this. I want to travel, whatever it is she wants to do. But for whatever her motivations are, Kathy Bates may not end up being in the top 5 or on the Mount Rushmore of the greatest actresses of all time, but she's one of the all-time greats. She is, whenever she appears in something, she's one of those performers that whether she's appearing in something great or something not so good, she, as Rob would say, classes up the joint. Yep. She elevates it. She lifts it. Yep. She makes whatever she's in better than it was.
What I appreciate about her is that she can give you a sense of comfort, but then also scare you to death. As in,
yes,
she's really, there's two sides of this actress that she can really push on either one really hard. It reminds me of J.K. Simmons. He could be... You
know what? That's a really good comparison.
He could be a complete threat, really scare the crap out of you. But then be like that comfort, that father figure, whatever he's trying to play. I love that dynamic of this actress. And I appreciate all her work. And if this really is her retirement, she should enjoy her life. You know what else she's got? She's got this, just like J.K. Simmons, she's got this aura about her of authority. When absolutely. That's why when she's in one of those roles, when she speaks, it's you listen. What's funny, stop and you listen. Is when she was on The Office, I think she had more authority ever than Michael ever did.
Yeah, she ran circles around him.
He came in there and she was like a sweetheart, but then you could tell you don't mess with Sabre. Or Saber.
That's right.
Sabre.
Saber, but it's spelled Sabre.
Yeah, I love her.
Even if you just look at her movie career, right? Even recently, she got nominated for Richard Jewell, she was in with Paul Walter Hauser. She was amazing in that. She was nominated for 4 different films. Obviously for Misery, which she won. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress in About Schmidt, which she was great in with Jack. She was in Richard Jewell with Paul Walter Hauser, she got nominated for. And she was also nominated for that John Travolta film, Primary Colors, the political one, which again, she ruled in.
I've never watched the Matlock series, and I know this is not supposed to be that series, but is this a show where she could show that range that she has?
You gotta watch. I think so. I watched the trailer and I was like,
Because that would be great.
yeah, because on top of that, she carries. Okay, so like the premise of the new Matlock one is like she stopped being a lawyer back in 1991, and she's decided to come back. And at 76, and she comes into this young, big, huge law firm, and she's like, I think I can help out. Nobody really wants her there, but then she starts ruling. So she's like, she carries this thing where she's like this diminutive, demure, like quieter, oh, the little late, but then she'll kick your ass sort of thing.
That
like,
sounds actually great.
it's not, I'm just saying the trailer looked pretty fun. It definitely looks like a CBS show. Like it doesn't look like an HBO series.
Oh,
it
yeah.
feels like a CBS show, but it still looks kind of fun. And I'm looking forward to it. I am. But what I am not looking forward to is Kathy Bates retiring. So I hope Matlock, I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but I hope it's a huge success and lasts for like 7 seasons because I want as much Kathy Bates as we can get before she hangs him up. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kathy Bates, truly one of the all-time greats. Maybe not on the Mount Rushmore or anything like that, but she is phenomenal. 14 Emmy nominations, 4 Oscar nominations, Oscars and Emmys on her mantle. And now she's got this new show coming out, and then she's calling it quits. What's your favorite performance of Kathy Bates? And will you check out the Matlock show? I gotta admit, I will. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Say it 3 times and $100 million will appear. As Beetlejuice just absolutely dominated the box office by making $110+ million in its opening weekend. Now, let me get this out of the way. I think the movie is total crap. I think it's not the worst film I've seen this year, but probably going to be in my top 10 worst films of the year. I think it was totally garbage. But that said, I couldn't be happier for it. I love seeing movies succeed, even if they're films that I don't like. And I don't like this one, but I love seeing movies succeed. And there are a lot of people who do like this movie, and I love seeing movies, especially that people enjoy having success. And whatever's good for the movie business is good for me. So I was absolutely thrilled to see how it did. As a matter of fact, it's hit some historical kind of numbers. This comes to us from Variety, who writes this. Beetlejuice, the sequel to Tim Burton's 1988 horror comedy about a pesky poltergeist, scored a huge $110 million from 4,575 theaters in its opening weekend. Those ticket sales rank as the second biggest September debut of all time. It beats out It Chapter 2 that made $91 million in its opening weekend, and only behind 2017's first version of It that made $123 million in its opening weekend. All 3 of those September record holders belong to Warner Brothers, by the way. Beetlejuice is also the year's 3rd best opening weekend, coming behind only Deadpool and Wolverine that made $211 million in its opening weekend, and Inside Out 2 that made $154 million on its opening weekend. The film delivered a needed jolt to the domestic box office, which was lagging after a humdrum end to the summer season. I mean, let's think about it. You think about, throughout history, the number of films that have come out in the month of September over the decades and decades and decades. Especially the It films. And Beetlejuice just became the 2nd biggest ever and the 3rd biggest opening weekend of the year. At $110 million, which, Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the first Beetlejuice movie, I think it had an opening weekend of $8 million or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I might not be remembering that correctly. But I think the first one had an opening weekend of like
it got, let's see. Sorry.
You got it there?
74 million. Or wait, the opening was $8 million.
$8 million opening weekend. Not a bad improvement. Not a bad improvement.
That jump is impressive.
I mean, that's a pretty steep jump.
Yeah, but the years in between the two movies too, you got to include that. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's a lot of caveats to that for sure, but this thing is an absolute smash success.
I'm shocked.
I mean, I'm surprised, but going into it, like, remember the early projections were saying like 85 million, which was huge. And then like 2 weeks ago, they adjusted that to like 100 million. So I'm not like falling out of my chair surprised, but if you go back 1 year and told John Campea from a year ago that Beetlejuice would open to $110 million, I would fall out of my chair. I would have fallen out of my chair. Couldn't be happier for Michael Keaton. Where those audiences were to support him as Batman, I don't know where they went. But
I mean, what do you think this will do? Like, do you think it's just the Beetlejuice fans coming out, or do you think people are yearning for Tim Burton back in the theater?
Oh, yeah,
like
a number of
Edward
things.
Scissorhands too. What do you?
No, I don't personally think there's like it's a huge Tim Burton thing.
Frankenweenie too.
Now I could be wrong about that, but no Tim Burton film. I mean, Tim Burton had like the whatchamacallit, look this up, the Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland,
I got you.
where the first one had a huge opening, but then the second one, I think, remember the second one taking a massive drop.
Right. The first one made 116 opening.
And what did the second one
26. Alice Through the Looking Glass?
Yeah,
make?
that was 26. So quarter.
Yeah, so like massive. So
75% drop.
I don't think this is a Tim Burton thing. Tim Burton didn't hurt, but I don't think this is a Tim Burton thing. I mean, one of the other things is, you know, we say this about some other films too, competition.
Yeah, there was none.
If we take a look at this, like Beetlejuice made $110 million. But what else was there? Deadpool in its 7th weekend. 7th.
Yeah, you're right.
7th weekend made 7.2. Reagan made 5 million. Alien Romulus in its 4th weekend. It Ends With Us in its 5th weekend. I mean, even Twisters down at number 7 was in its 8th weekend. So it was helped by that, but still, it doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter if there were no other movies in the theaters. There was $110 million worth of people who wanted to go out to watch Beetlejuice. And listen, I was somebody who was again, I didn't like the movie, but I was won over by the trailers. I thought the trailers were great. They had a great marketing campaign, not only because it was just good trailers, but the philosophy of the marketing campaign in Beetlejuice was, number one, lean into the nostalgia, but show something new. And they did both of those things incredibly well with all of their marketing. Michael Keaton got out there and worked the room. He did out there and spun this thing as hard as he could. And I think it just shows that when you've got the right property at the right time, and listen, I admit, I thought the time for a second Beetlejuice movie had passed. I fully admit it. I thought if you were going to do another Beetlejuice movie, even though it's much later, I thought 15 years ago was the time to do it. 10 years ago was the time to do it. Turned out 30 years or however long it's been since the first Beetlejuice.
It's a long-term investment.
Yeah, long-term investment. So, I mean, the marketing campaign was brilliant. They captured that right sense of nostalgia. They added to that nostalgia by adding an incredibly hot star right now in Jenna Ortega. Not that she's ever had like massive, big blockbuster box office success, but she's a hot name. They mixed that in with it as well, and they killed it. Now, I'll be very interested to see how it does in its second weekend.
That's the problem I'm having, because when we went to our showing, it was pretty much you could see the demographic in there. It was pretty much, you know, the people who watched it when they're younger, like us. There was nothing else. There's no kids in there. There's no super old people. It was just.
Well, now, granted, when we saw it, we saw it at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
And that turnout looked pretty good for 3 p.m.
It wasn't
in 110-degree weather outside.
Well, everybody was just looking to get into an air-conditioned movie theater, I think. But, I mean, here's the thing, too. This has got to raise questions, because they've been very definitive that they're not doing a Beetlejuice 3. But again, we'll see, right? Like, look, this thing could take a 70% drop in the second weekend, or it could take a 45% drop in the second weekend. I mean, because remember, this weekend,
It doesn't have anything really.
no, there are.
There are this weekend?
Not massive prime time movies, but two movies that's got movie fans excited. The new James McAvoy movie, See No Evil.
Speak no
Or
evil.
Speak No Evil, sorry. Speak No Evil is opening, and the Dave Bautista, The Killer's Game,
Yeah.
is opening this weekend. Now, will Beetlejuice have big, strong word of mouth? Will it get a lot more people wanting to go back for a second or third screening? Will other people who didn't go the first weekend want to get it? It's going to be really interesting to see how the second weekend does. But listen, man, this thing is a massive success, much bigger than I thought it would be initially. And again, even though I don't like the film, I love seeing movies succeed. And I love seeing fans getting out to the movie theaters, having a good time. I don't know why you had a good time at it, but you did. A lot of people had a good time at it.
You can't drop it.
Can't drop it. I'm still so mad that they got me to buy into it with those good trailers. But still, it's great to see, because like the article said, after Deadpool and after Inside Out 2 and big success for Alien Romulus, the second half of the summer has kind of petered, right? That big momentum it had petered out. So to have a movie like Beetlejuice come out and have a big win at the box office for everybody, I think it's absolutely huge. Like how much of a drop do you think it's going to have in its second weekend, Ray? Percentage wise, like how much of a percentage drop do you think it's going to have?
65? I don't know. I don't really follow these things, so I'm just guessing 65. I don't know.
I'm thinking 62. So I'm going to be very close
maybe
to
mine
yours.
was a little too high. So,
No, I mean, you might be close. What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, I think 60 is. Typically, we look at these things and it's like a 50% drop is average.
But yeah, but
I think
remember,
60. But like you said, this could surprise us and be like a 43% drop or something.
normally what you want to see in your drop is right around the 50% mark, right? But remember, for movies that have huge opening weekends, like this one
Most
just
people
did,
saw it.
yeah, more people saw it. So you got to expect the second weekend drop off to be a little bit bigger. Spider-Man No Way Home had a record smashing opening weekend. It had a 70% drop off in the second weekend, but that was because everybody went to go see it. So I think somewhere between 55 and 65% drop off would be a totally acceptable drop off for a movie that just opened this big.
what would be an amazing number?
40.
Like,
50.
50.
and then what would be
40.
okay, there's no more hope. Like we're
Over 65.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're hitting
okay.
like 70%. It's like, oh, it's done.
Yeah, I think I think if Beetlejuice, on the heels of a $110 million opening, I think if it has a 50% drop off, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think they got to celebrate that. Again, 55 to 65, I think is totally comfortable. Anything over 65, then I think they start to worry about it a little bit. But listen, I don't know what the budget on Beetlejuice was.
I think it was 100.
Was it only 100?
100 or yeah.
If you can double check that.
Yeah.
But if it was $100 million budget, they're going to get into profitability by the end of the second weekend.
Yeah. Well, because worldwide they're at 145 million.
Yeah. So by the end of the second weekend, they'll be profitable.
I think even with the theaters take, they're close to the budget, but not marketing budget.
Yeah. So whatever
But-
listen, they spent a lot on marketing on this one because they marketed the hell out of this movie and they did a great job with it.
Okay, what came up was the first Beetlejuice's budget. that one's amazing, but let me see.
Well, what was it? You can't just say that and not tell us.
The first Beetlejuice budget was 15 million.
15 million.
That is crazy. So the budget for Beetlejuice was 100 million.
Yeah.
Okay, so 100. I'm seeing some people say it was 100 to 110 million. Yeah. So by the end of the second weekend, this thing's going to be a profitable movie just at the end of its second
And
weekend.
even though you didn't like it, there's nothing else in the theaters like this movie. So
Oh, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
No, this is a very, very. I mean, Beetlejuice has always been a very unique property, right?
Right.
It's always been a very, kind of has its very, very distinct identity, right? I mean, listen, if somebody were to ask me what movie should I go watch this weekend, I would say go see Alien Romulus or Deadpool again. By the way, when is the last time? I don't know the answer to this. I don't know that anybody can find it. But just think about it. When's the last time a movie in its 7th weekend was still in the top 2? I
would say maybe
the first Avatar.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I was going further back. I was going to Home Alone because Home Alone was big and it had legs.
Yeah, Endgame wasn't still in the top 2 in its 7th weekend. Some people are saying that I would think my guess would be the first Avatar.
That's a pretty good.
Because that one actually went up week over week for the first few weeks. So maybe that one was it. But yeah, anyway, let's just say, no, it definitely wasn't Top Gun Maverick. But I mean, let's just say it doesn't happen often that a movie, we're talking about Deadpool here, that a movie in its 7th weekend is still in the top 2. Like, that is crazy. And again, good for Alien Romulus still being in the top 5 in its 4th weekend. And what is Alien Romulus made now? Alien Romulus,
it's at
314 million, which makes it the highest grossing horror movie of the year and the second highest grossing movie in the Alien franchise. And by the way, speaking of Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, congrats to her. Her movie It Ends With Us has also crossed $300 million.
309.
Their kids are going to get good Christmas presents this year.
And It Ends With Us did not have a $100 million budget. But again, Beetlejuice totally dominates the box office this weekend. $110 million opening weekend. The second biggest September opening weekend in history. The third biggest opening of the year. There will be some more movies coming out later this year that might bump it down a little bit, but this is an incredible result for a 30-plus year second film. Absolutely amazing. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Beetlejuice just crushed it with $110 million, setting all kinds of new benchmarks. What do you think about how high do you think it can go? What kind of a second weekend drop-off do you think it's going to have? A really reasonable one? A bigger one than they want to have? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to get on to the most important part of the show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends over at Mando. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mando. Guys, I've got to tell you about something that changed my whole body care game. Mando Whole Body Deodorant. Now, I first heard about Mando last year when they offered to become a sponsor of the show, and I was honestly skeptical. I mean, a deodorant can't really control odor for 72 hours, can it? But after using it myself, I am a believer. You can use it anywhere on your body, and I mean anywhere. It's clinically proven to keep you smelling fresh for up to 72 hours without any irritation. I'm loving the Clover Wood scent, but they've got options like Bourbon Leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and even unscented if you prefer to go stealth mode. I like to use it after the shower, before the gym, or even important meetings. It's that reliable. And right now, Mando's got a killer deal. New customers get $5 off their best-selling starter pack with my exclusive code CAMPEA. That's over 40% off. Just go to shopmando, that's shopmando.com, and use the code CAMPEA. Seriously, guys, if you want a deodorant that's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and just works better than anything else you've tried, it's time to make the switch to Mando. So don't wait. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. Head over to shopmando.com and use the code CAMPEA and get $5 off your starter pack. Trust me, you're going to love it. That's at shopmando.com. Go and check it out now. And thank you to our friends at Mando for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, that down. Let's get on to your question. Before I do, though, listen, some people, when I was mentioning, when's the last time like a movie in its 7th weekend was still in the top 2? There was a whole bunch of movies mentioned in the live chat. Somebody mentioned Top Gun. I said, no, it wasn't Top Gun Maverick. Apparently it was.
Wow.
Apparently Top Gun Maverick was number 2 in its 7th weekend, and maybe even in its 8th weekend. Movie. So there you go. Nice. The collective bring forth the answer once again.
The knowledge.
All right, guys. Let's get on to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Benji Worldwide says, I saw the mixed reviews for Joker 2. I'm not surprised. Joker was an incredible film, which I loved, but couldn't watch more than once due to its being so heavy. Maybe WB saw that and tried to lighten the tone, which critics weren't ready for. I have faith.
Well, I mean, it's important to remember, too, that to a degree, the reviews for the first Joker were also kind of mixed. I mean, Ray, double check right now for me. What's Joker 2 sitting with its critic rating right now? But remember, the second one.
Right.
The first one had a 69, which I know Jonathan loves.
69, dudes!
It had, despite the fact that it was a, Oscar-nominated film for Best Picture.
It's at 61.
It's at 61. So, yes, it's mixed, but the first one was also kind of mixed. Listen, I'm with you. I love the first Joker. Absolutely love it. But it clearly is not a movie for everybody. Like, it's one of those movies that you watch. Sometimes you watch some movies and you go like, oh my God, everybody's going to love this. And sometimes you watch a movie and go, I love this, but I know not everybody will. And Joker seems to be one of those. So while it is kind of mixed, it's only 8% off from what the first one was. And it did pretty well. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Anonymous with just some support here.
Thank you, Anonymous.
All right, regulars mount up. We got Nate Dogg here. Have you watched Gangs of London on Netflix? The showrunner is Gareth Evans, the guy who made the Raid movies. Oh, that's awesome. The show is brutal. I love the Raid movies, and Gangs of London is also very entertaining. Check it out. I think you'll like it.
Hold on a second. I got to see if it's the one I'm thinking of.
I see it.
I don't think this is the one. See, I was watching another one where in the opening episode, I think the guy who used to play Chief O'Brien in Star Trek, his name's Colm Meaney, where the first episode was Colm Meaney's like the head of this crime family and he gets murdered. And then the show goes on from there. I was thinking that was Gangs of London, but I guess this is a different one because I don't think I recognize other people in it. Anyway, I don't think I've seen it.
No, you're right. He's Colm Meaney.
Colm Meaney. Oh,
Yeah,
so it is.
So Gareth Edwards, Colm Meaney. Yeah, he's in it.
Okay, so this is the one that I watched.
So he's talking about season 2, obviously.
Okay, so I'll say this. I watched like the first 4 or 5 episodes of Gangs of London, and then I fell off of it. I didn't tap out. I just kind of, sometimes you're watching a show and you just stopped watching it, and then like 2 years later you go, wait a minute, why did I stop watching it? Like I forgot about it. Like I watched it, but I never did finish season 1. So I'm going to have to go back and pick up on it again. Thanks for reminding me about it. All right, what's next?
Twilight Boy.
Twilight Boy.
Many say the multiverse is hurting Marvel, but really is it?
Yes.
There's your answer. Every single multiverse project they've had has been a big success. Not true. No Way Home, Deadpool, Wolverine, and Loki are widely beloved. Even the more divisive Multiverse of Madness made big money, but you conveniently leave out a couple.
Yeah, you're leaving out a couple things. And so look, it has hurt it in the sense that it has brought the entire thing down.
Oh, wait. I think he's just saying the stuff that leaned into the multiverse.
Like directly to it.
Into. Because Captain Marvel didn't really do multiverse stuff, I guess you could
just
say.
Like near the end.
Yeah, but like I think he's just saying that's why he brought up those specific movies.
I see.
Because it leaned into the
but
multiverse.
there are
like
still
Deadpool,
films
Wolverine,
in that
multiverse.
phase, yeah.
So I get what he's trying to say, but I don't even know if that's still true.
I think you might be correct on what he's trying to say.
Yeah, okay.
But I would see it has hurt the MCU in the sense that its story has sucked. Right? The MCU right now, let's go back a little bit prior to Deadpool coming out. Something that we all universally agree on is that the MCU is at a lower point right now than it has been previously. Now, some people may think it's just a tiny bit lower. Some people think it's massively lower, but I think we all agree, we brought this up many times, that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not at its peak at the moment, right? And I really think one of the big reasons for that is the nonsense of the multiverse. Now, I hate time travel in movies, but that doesn't mean there aren't movies that use time travel that I don't think are awesome, right? Back to the Future, Star Trek 4. There's definitely some great shows and some great movies that use time travel. I just think overall as a big picture thing, it kind of sucks. Now, with multiverse, I'm the same way. I think multiverse is the absolute fucking laziest thing you can try to do in a movie, and it takes out all consequences and all stakes, right? Oh no, they killed that whatever character, don't worry about it. There's 5 more versions of them coming. Oh no, they did this. Like nothing has any meaning, nothing has any depth. And the stories have basically sucked. And that's why, like, one of the things that really rung true for me in Deadpool is when Deadpool gives that whole speech about, yeah, your whole multiverse thing has been a loss, lose after lose. It's time to move on from it. So while you did have still some financial successes like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, ask anybody if Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is in their top 5 MCU films. You're not going to find many. Loki was not all that great. I'll be honest with you. Loki isn't all that great. I liked Loki. I even thought season 2 was better than season 1, but I don't think Loki is like one of the top 2 or 3 shows that they've done in it so far. But again, the principle is that overall, the entire multiverse saga has brought down the MCU. Not all the way down, but has lowered it. And they're going to be very well served when they finally move on from it after Secret Wars. When Secret Wars is done and they close off the fucking multiverse and they move on, it'll be better off for it.
That's why their upcoming movies, Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts, where I don't believe there's going to be any multiverse stuff in them.
No, especially, well, Kevin Feige got on stage at CinemaCon and said, for Captain America 4, we're making it more grounded. There's not going to be any multiverse. There's not going to be any aliens. It's going to be more like Winter Soldier.
And so, like, without taking box office into account, I just hope they're good movies so they can show that we can still make these movies without having to have that excuse or what we call it, where the multiverse where you could kill people or like bring people back.
No stakes, no consequences. Yeah.
Without, so I hope these 2 are good movies.
Well, like I say, like, because to your point, Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts don't even have to make a lot of money. If they're really good, that will help the MCU in the future.
Exactly.
The better these movies are, the better it will be for the other projects that come. And the opposite is true. You can have a movie that makes a lot of money, but if it's disappointing in its story, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, a movie that I don't hate, by the way.
I don't either.
I mean, was it as good as I was hoping it would be? No, but for the record, I enjoyed Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I did. I know there's a bunch of people that didn't, but I did. But here's the point. Even though Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness made $900 million, good for it. But the fact that it left a lot of people unsatisfied, I think, hurt the other MCU movies that came out afterwards. So Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts, neither one of those films are going to be billion-dollar films. No. But if they're good, if they're really good, they'll help the MCU movies that come out after it. And I think that's what they're really looking at. All right, what's next?
So this was just more of Twilight Boy, but not counting Quantumania, Marvel, since they don't directly deal with the multiverse for the most part. Marvel adjacent projects like Spider-Verse even do great. If you ask me, focusing on the multiverse has kept Marvel afloat in hard times.
No,
I think it's in the hard times because it's there.
Exactly. The multiverse has caused the hard times. It has not kept it afloat during the hard times. It is what brought on the hard times. And I'm oversimplifying that. There are clearly other factors. The Bob Chapek fiasco, Kevin Feige losing all of his authority, the fact that Disney set in a new layer of middle management, stripping away the decision-making power of the studio. There's lots of other things. But the multiverse has not kept it afloat during the hard times. The multiverse has caused the hard times. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Future Man says, hey, John, I'm really enjoying the second season of Rings of Power. It's almost as if I could have skipped the first season and wouldn't have missed anything at all. I can tell the dialogue has improved. The subplots are much more fun. Let's hope it continues.
I still haven't watched episode 4.
Oh, you haven't? I haven't watched any of them.
I just had a hugely busy weekend. And like last week, we were dealing with all the internet problems. Thank you so much, Spectrum. That's sarcastic, by the way. So I still haven't watched it. I got to watch it. But I got to say, like, again, through the first 3 episodes that I'm through, and I got to watch the 4th today, I'm not willing and I'm not ready to call it a great show. But it is definitely a step up from season 1. They've tightened it up. All the scenes have purpose now. The dialogue's much better. They focus more on bigger picture, more important things going on. Again, we'll see how good or bad the show ends up being by the end of season 2. I'm just saying that for now, it is definitively a better show than it was in season 1, which was so disappointing.
You
Season
know
1.
what's funny is, so I am caught up on Saturday. I caught up with episode 4. I noticed there were some things that I'm like, there's gaps here. I don't understand what's going on. There's gaps in things they said happened, but I don't remember happening in season 1. I went back and I realized I never watched the final episode. I thought the final episode was when Mordor was created and that explosion happens. So
it wasn't? That's how badly I remember it. That wasn't it?
No,
There
there's
was
one more
after that?
episode past that. So I caught up with that real quick before doing episode 4 of season 2. There is a stark contrast in the pacing and the
pacing
quality.
is a huge difference.
When I went, so I had watched 3 seasons already of season 2. Finally watched the last episode of season 1, which I did not realize existed, and I was like, "Oh my god, these scenes are taking so long,
Yes.
so just drawn out scenes. Even the action was like drawn out,
Yep.
and then you after this action scene happens that is already drawn out, then you got to watch the Harfoots just sit quietly in the pre-dawn, and then slowly, and I'm not making this up, they're still just sitting there, no dialogue, and you're watching the sunrise, and it's almost like it's watching it in real time. I'm like, are you kidding me with this? Are you kidding me?
Somebody like Chris will bring up, accurately so, that guess what? That's how the books are.
But it's
True.
drags
but a
when you're
book
watching
is a
it.
different medium.
Yeah.
A book is a page on paper. We're talking about a visual medium.
Page for
You can't
page.
do them the same way, right? So again, season 2 is definitely an improvement.
Oh yeah.
All right, what's next?
Christopher Rosado says, part 1, I seriously do not think Mufasa will do well because ever since the 2019 Lion King, the live action remakes have dipped in quality and underperformed at the box office. Little Mermaid should have made 7 to 8. It only made 560. I think the audience is slowly not going as much to see these live action remakes. I think if Mufasa makes 500, then we should celebrate. I will be shocked if it makes over 700. I think it will beat Sonic 3, but not by as much as you, I guess, think.
Okay, Christopher, Phil, I gotta ask, who the fuck said Little Mermaid should have made $700 to $800 million? Who ever said that? I don't think that was ever like realistic at all. The fact that that movie made over $500 million is kind of crazy. Listen, do you think live action remakes before The Lion King were celebrated?
Yeah, because
They were not. Live action remakes before Lion King were actually very, very frowned upon. So, I mean, I'm just saying it because the way you wrote the message makes it sound like the live action remakes of these Disney films were all super celebrated and loved, but then they started to decline. No. They were horrible. I mean, look, you had Cinderella was a really good one.
But it didn't do great.
No.
But it was good.
I don't think Beauty and the Beast was... I thought Beauty and the Beast was okay, the live action remake. But,
Obviously, Aladdin did great.
yeah, Aladdin was great, but for every one of those,
You had Maleficent.
there was 2 or 3 of these really crappy ones. The live action, the reputation of the Disney live action remakes were terrible before Lion King came out. And then Lion King came out, made $1.6 billion, and was, up until Inside Out 2, the highest grossing animated film of all time. And then Little Mermaid, amidst all the stupid bullshit controversy that losers made up, it ended up, and by the way, I don't think Little Mermaid is the greatest live action remake, but it was fun. It was entertaining, whatever it was, but it made over $500 million. Yes, Mufasa is going to make a lot of money. Again, I don't think it'll make $1 billion, but it's going to make a lot of money. And yeah.
So
How much we'll see. Again, I don't think it's going to make over $1 billion. Let's be very, very clear about that. Because I can already see when Mufasa makes 800 million or something, there's going to be some idiot in my live chat going, remember when Campea guaranteed it would make $1 billion? Let's be clear. It's not going to make $1 billion, but it's going to make a lot of money.
So the Little Mermaid, the closest thing I could find was the opening was projected 180 million. That was Deadline or Variety, and it made 95 opening. But I couldn't find anything overall.
It was never projected to make 180 million opening weekend. It might have been projected to make 100 million worldwide on its opening
Domestic,
weekend.
no.
Oh,
It-
right.
But
that
yeah,
might
it was
have been
never
worldwide.
projected to make
Yeah,
180
that-
million.
especially with all the
Sorry,
stupid
excuse me.
stuff that was
I
going
keep
on
forgetting.
surrounding
I keep
it.
forgetting about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
All the stupid drama.
So worldwide, yeah.
Worldwide.
All right,
All
what's
right.
next?
Matan says, what are the chances that Shrek 5 will be a $1 billion film? Shrek is still in the public eye. Nostalgia could play into it as well. The re-evaluation of Shrek 1 and 2 could make the public miss Shrek. Puss in Boots 2 didn't break 500, but it is a spin-off. And quality-wise, it was good.
Yeah. Okay. The latest Puss in Boots, which Puss in Boots: The Last Wish,
Right.
was wonderful. It was such a pleasant surprise. And by the way, look at that. A $12 million opening went on to make $481 million.
Wow, that's
That's
crazy.
like Greatest Showman kind of stuff, right? Like, that's fantastic.
That was word of mouth too, for me at least.
Yep.
Because as soon as I heard they were good, that's when I wanted to
Yeah,
go see
and it's a really good, fun little movie. And man, the pop in the audience when at the end of the film he's sailing off, he goes, "I'm going to go visit some friends." And the camera pans back from his boat, he's on the ocean, and then you see land in the distance and it says "far, far away." The audience in my theater lost their minds.
It's gonna be a $1 billion film. Shrek 5.
Shrek 5 can be a $1 billion film. I'm not going to say it will be. We got to see the trailers. We got to see what their approach is going to be. We got to gauge the excitement from the audience once some promotion starts to drop. But I'll say right now that yes, Shrek 5 can.
Yep.
It does carry the potential to be a $1 billion film.
And animation has been doing well lately.
Been doing very well.
Minions,
Been doing the best.
Minions. I'm shocked that
You
it's
mean
made that
Despicable
much.
Me? Yeah.
Oh,
Despicable Me 4 just crossed $900 million.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody's been talking about Despicable Me 4. And it's crossed. Where's it at right now?
929.
$929 million.
Minions.
Inside Out 2, $1.6 billion. We still got Moana 2 coming this year. Again, I don't think The Wild Robot is going to make a ton of money, but it has the potential to be a nice little hit as well. I mean,
I say you add like that buffer now, especially right now. Whatever you think Wild Robot's gonna make, add 100 million to that.
wow, Ray, 100,000? Really?
100 million to that. I don't know.
Oh,
Well,
and
a lot of
by the
people are
way-
excited for Wild Robot.
By the way, word coming out about Transformers 1 is very good. I just talked to my first person who's actually seen it. They loved it, and they think I'm going to love it.
Oh.
Now, I liked what we saw at CinemaCon, and the early reactions that came out of that animation film festival back in June were really, really sky high and great. We're going to the early screening on Saturday. This Saturday, we're going to go see Transformers 1. So that, I mean,
What makes me mad is a little part of me was gonna deny this movie because they didn't look like the Transformers I knew, and I'm gonna admit that. The same thing I could see with Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah.
There may be a lot of fans that saw that and may not have given that movie a chance. I'm just glad the time in between when the first trailer came out and its opening, I was able to get past that because I was gonna wait for it to hit Paramount Plus. Eventually, it would have, and I could have watched it at my home, even if it was good. But now I'm at the point where I'm going to go see this in theater because the trailers have been winning me over.
yeah, they look great. And by the way, just want, like somebody was asking what early screens. So they're doing, we've seen other movies do this too. The film doesn't officially open till like next week.
Yeah.
But this Saturday, probably check your local theaters. This Saturday, they are doing special advanced fan screenings this Saturday, and it could be in a theater near you. So check it out. We already got our tickets. Go and check out to see if you've got one in a theater near you, because I'm excited about this movie. I really am. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Garden Variety who says, "Hey, John and crew, you recently mentioned sneakers. When I joined the Army, I was trying to explain to my girlfriend what I would be doing. Then the film came out, and I pointed to David Strathair's character and said that, and I've loved it."
First of all, that's great. I got an email and one or two comments in the live show, in the show's comment section. She would say, "What's sneakers?" Oh God, way to make me feel old.
Yeah, what is sneakers? I don't.
Oh God,
Is
sneakers.
that the one with Robert Redford?
Yes. Robert Redford, Ben Kingsley, James Earl Jones even pops up at the end. River Phoenix, David Strathairn, Dan Aykroyd. It's an awesome movie. It's so good. It's this kind of heist movie sort of thing.
Oh, okay. I'm reading about it. Okay.
Yeah. If you, now, granted, that movie came out when I was a kid. Like, what's the year on it?
It was 19.
It was 90s, but
92. No,
92?
I believe. Wait, no. Yeah, 92.
92.
September 9th, 1990.
September 92. So I was still a teenager when that thing came out. Yeah, but it's so good. If you get a chance, guys, watch that movie. It's awesome. All right, what's next?
all right. We got It's All Groovy with a $20 tip.
Thank you, man, for supporting us on that level.
Hey, John and crew, why is it TV shows and movies are allowed to be edited from their original version just to satisfy a small group of people? This is art. I can't go draw a bigger smile on the Mona Lisa just because I think it would be better. Thoughts?
I just like the way he's.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
He said, "Why do people edit videos to make it better when it's art?"
No, that's not what he said.
I thought-
What did he say?
Well, from their
bring it up
original. What is his definition of original
again. Why
version?
is it that TV shows and movies are allowed to be edited from their original versions?
So like a director's cut or something like that? Or...
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. I'll say this. They're allowed to be edited because they're owned by somebody. You can do whatever the fuck you want with something that you own.
Yeah.
I mean, the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, Da Vinci ain't around.
Yeah, Da Vinci ain't around. To be worrying about it. It's a product. It is art. See, that's the thing about movies and TV shows. They're very unique in that they are art. 100% they're art, but they are also a product meant for sale to an audience and consumption, right? It's a very unique thing that straddles both worlds. It has one foot in one foot in the art. It is art and it is commerce at the same time. But if you own it, you can do anything you want to it. It's like coming up and say, like, let's say you wanted to, I don't know, you got a pair of Nikes and you want the swoosh on it to be purple. So you grab a good, piece of thing of paint and make it look really good by painting it purple. Can somebody say to you, wait a minute, a designer worked on that shoe to design that shoe. You have no right to change it to purple. You'd say, fuck off. Yes, I do. It's my shoe. I own it. It's mine.
Isn't it the same with music too? If you buy a person's library or something like that, like if you own the rights to a specific
well, if you own the rights,
artist,
so you can do anything to those
you can
songs that
take
you
that
want.
music and like put little Dirk in them or whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want to them. Yep, it's the same thing. All right, what's next?
All right. Anonymous says, hey, John, just watched Dune 2 again at home, and wow, what a movie. The last hour is a real achievement in filmmaking. I hope the Academy members will not forget about this movie because of early release. This deserves Best Picture, Best Director.
I mean, look, especially at this time of year, like for me, Dune 2 is the best movie I've seen in the last 10 years. Like straight up, I think it is the best movie I have seen in the last decade. But as somebody as enthusiastic about the movie as me, even I can't say it deserves to win Best Picture because a lot of the Best Picture contending films haven't even come out yet this year. I can't say that Denis Villeneuve should win Best Director when I haven't seen a lot of the other award contending movies haven't even come out yet. Now, do I think that it's likely that I'm going to see a better movie than Dune 2 this year? It's not likely, but it's possible. So I'm not going to make any pronouncements about it definitely should win Best Picture when I haven't seen what it's up against yet. So, because, hey, listen, it's theoretically possible that I could see 3 other movies in the next few months that I think are better than Dune 2. That's not likely, but it's possible. So, well, I'm not going to make any pronouncements yet, but yes, I think Dune 2 is the best movie I've seen in the last 10 years. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, just watch Hans Zimmer live. I still get goosebumps just thinking about it. His music of Dune, especially the lady's voice, my God, is Dune his best so far? I think so. It's otherworldly and yet filled with emotion. What do you think?
I wouldn't say, I think it's great. I wouldn't say it's his best so far. Somebody else, by the way, I'm going to go see his show in Los Angeles. Ann and I got tickets for that. I can't wait for that. I don't think it's the best he's ever done. Again, especially when you look at his filmography and all the different things that he's done, particularly like The Dark Knight and things like that. I personally, maybe his Dark Knight, but for me, Man of Steel. God, I love his music in Man of Steel. It's so good. All right, what's next?
Funko Pimp says, I've never heard the actual song used in the Beetlejuice 2 musical segment. I'd only heard the Weird Al parody of it, Jurassic Park. So when I was watching Beetlejuice 2, the song started, I was like, are they really about to have a Weird Al song? I loved it.
Yeah, I thought that song number, because again, they tried to replicate the whole day-o
the one at
moment
the
in
end?
the first one. Yeah.
Oh,
That was horrible.
Oh.
I thought it was absolute garbage.
my worst part of the movie.
Yeah, and you liked the movie.
And I like the movie.
You liked the movie. Yeah, I thought that whole last part
I love the
was
part, but it
really
needed to
bad.
be cut in half. It stopped.
The song
and
went
then,
on too long.
Then it kept going. I was like, why
It
is it
kept
still
going and it had this use of stuff. It's like, okay, 8 different times they cut to the underworld cops
Yeah.
sneaking up on the
Getting
church.
closer.
Then we go, then cut back, then cut back, then cut back. It's like, yes, I fucking get it. Move on. Anyway,
Yeah,
but
true.
remember, but I didn't like the movie, so I'm in the minority. That's fine.
Well, no,
I love the movie, but I still didn't like that part.
You have every right to not like that part.
All right, what's next?
Okay, let's see. Funko Panda we just did. The Tick says Josh Brolin as Green Lantern, not what I would do, but I dig it. Personally, if going veteran and rookie cop, I do a seasoned Jon Stewart, Terry Crews, and rookie Kyle Rayner, Ted Lasso's Phil Dunster. And that's why I'm not in charge of DC Studios.
Here's the problem. This is one of the things I learned because I used to think a certain way. And then a long time ago, and it was from doing things like the movie blog and AMC and onwards, I just realized it's folly. Like the stuff the conversation surrounding the Josh Brolin casting. And by the way, there is no Josh Brolin casting. There's a rumor out there that they're looking at casting Josh Brolin for Hal Jordan. There's been no official word that that's what's happening. So everybody needs to keep that in mind. But just for the sake of fan discussion, let's say they do cast Josh Brolin to play Hal Jordan. The discussion goes, they shouldn't have him play Hal Jordan. They should have whatever actor playing Hal Jordan. But this is, and I used to do that all the time. But what I've learned the longer I've been a movie fan is that it's so pointless because you say they shouldn't cast this guy, they should cast that guy. It's like, I'm sorry, have you read the script? How do you know who should play it when you haven't read the script? Like, and I realize that, I may cast this guy, but if I read the script, the guy I picked might end up being the worst person in the world for it. And so I go, listen, if the story they've come up with that they're excited about and they think is really good is a story that requires an older Hal Jordan who's now more experienced, has been through the wars, a more grizzled Hal Jordan now. If that's in the script, then casting this person, or this person, or this person would be stupid because that doesn't fit at all what they're going for. But a Josh Brolin would. So that's why I often don't get, I do sometimes, but I often won't get into X actor and X role thing because unless you read the script, we have no clue about who would be a good fit, right? You have no idea who'd be a good fit. Nobody thought Heath Ledger was a good fit to play Joker. Nobody thought that. But maybe if we had read Jonathan and Christopher Nolan's script, if we had read the script, maybe then we would have gone, okay, you know what? Maybe I could see a Heath Ledger playing it. So again, we'll have to see, but let me remind everybody. Hal Jordan is not going to be played by Josh Brolin officially. We don't know that. There's a rumor out there, but nobody has confirmed that that's fact. Disney or Warner Brothers hasn't confirmed it. James Gunn has not confirmed it. Josh Brolin has not confirmed it. It's just a rumor that's out there. So just keep that. It may come to pass, but just keep in mind it is not official. All right. What's next?
Anonymous says, sometimes when mentioning a movie, you like to refer to it as little, e.g. I thought it was a wonderful little film. What to you makes something a little movie?
It's just a phrase. It's just a phrase. I think often I'll use it subconsciously. Like if it's not like some massive undertaking, right? Like if it's not a movie like Endgame that cost them $275 million and 3,000 visual effects artists and whatever kind of stuff. Like if it's a more like a smaller production, a $80 million movie, I'll say, yeah, you know, it's a nice little movie. But honestly, it's just a phrase. It's just a term I use. It doesn't really mean much. All right, what's next?
Gen Y Unite says, remember me from last week, Campea? I said BB2 will smash expectations, meaning over 100. It made 110. Third biggest opening of the year. Like I said, you underestimate the goth and nostalgia fans of the OG. By the way, Wicked won't be anywhere near this.
Wicked will smash it. Wicked will make well over $100 million opening week.
I'm still confused why he's hanging on to this, because he said it's going to be a smash. It's going to smash expectations. Well,
It didn't smash.
Expectations were large. They were big.
Expectations
They weren't
ended up being over $100 million. So
Yeah,
it
they were
didn't
large.
smash it. But listen, again, if you go back a year ago and ask people what the expectations for Beetlejuice was, it was going to be well short of that. So yes, smash expectations from a year ago, but going into the weekend, they were projecting 100 million. So it didn't smash the expectations. And a lot of people thought it could go over that. So it's no big thing. Again, I don't think it's just the nostalgia thing. Lots of things come out with the nostalgia. It was a perfect storm of the next best thing had been in theaters already 7 weeks. It was a brilliant marketing campaign. They totally nailed it. They even got me excited about the movie. They just did a lot of things right. But yes, Wicked will have a bigger opening weekend than this. I don't necessarily think Wicked will have a bigger opening weekend than, say, Inside Out 2, or have a bigger opening weekend than, say, Moana 2 is going to have, or whatever. But Wicked will beat $110 million opening weekend. Mark it. It will. I may change my mind last second once we see what the last few trailers are, but yeah, it's going to make over $100 million. Like, people who are only in the 5% bubble may not see it, but there is a fuck ton of people out there who are very excited about this movie. That may not be in our 5% movie hardcore fan circles, but believe it, it's going to have a bigger than $110 million opening weekend. All right. I mean, like, you never know. I might be wrong about that, but I would be very, very surprised if it doesn't, because I think it will. All right. What's next?
Put this on your radar says, Red Rooms is a French-Canadian court thriller following two women enamored with a serial killer's trial. It really makes the audience question their own consumption of true crime. And no violence is shown, and yet it's disturbing, so Chris Carr can enjoy it.
I've never heard of it. I don't know if this is a movie or a TV show or whatever, but I've never heard of it. There was like a 90s movie called The Red Room, but I don't think that's just what this is talking about. So, but hey, you put it on my radar. Thank you. It's always good to see something Canadian that's good. All right, what's next?
It sounds like a nice little movie. Ricky Ticky Tacky says, PSA.
Actually, that movie
That was a
released.
slow burn.
Oh, sorry. That movie released on the 6th. Limited.
Limited release. Okay.
Okay.
Ricky Tiki Tacky says, PSA, do not listen to the John Campea Show while running on a treadmill. There will be sudden lewd comments or funny stories about Ray. You'll barely laugh, lose balance, go flying, and be injured. Anyway, I'll be suing John Campea Show for personal injury. I'll settle for 80 mil.
Okay. What did you injure?
Yeah, what did you injure?
I have had that kind of experience before, where I've been like, say, like this morning, I'm on the treadmill at the gym. And I got my headphones on and I'm listening. I was listening to the Daniel Tosh podcast this morning, and you forget, because when you're wearing, especially if you're wearing noise canceling headphones, you sometimes forget how loud you are. Have you ever talked to somebody when you're wearing headphones?
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, do you want to go get a drink? And you don't realize how loud you sound. I have had that experience, and I had a little bit of it today, where I'm on the treadmill. I'm listening to Daniel Tosh's podcast, and he said something that was funny, and I just started laughing so hard that I had to grab the bars on the side of the treadmill. And then I realized that, like, people all around me, like, turning their heads and looking at me because I didn't realize I was being that loud. But yeah, that happens to me sometimes. All right, what's next?
Harv's Case says, greetings, crew. Beetlejuice was a bit meh for me, but its unbelievable box office success, it will most definitely open the floodgates for more 80s remake sequels. Goonies 2 is probably next in line. I mean, there already have been.
Here's the problem. They've done it already.
I mean, you could say that about Maverick.
Yeah, and they don't all have success. and one thing having success. Look, there's only one Beetlejuice. Right? It reminds me of when Mario Brothers came out. Remember, and Mario Brothers made like $1.3 billion at the box office or something like that. 1.1 billion. It made over $1 billion, right? I said it was going to be the biggest film of the year. And then it got beat up by Barbie. But I remember when I said it was going to, I said, guys, this upcoming Mario movie is going to be the biggest film of the year. Everybody thought I was crazy. Like everybody said it wasn't going to be in the top 10. Made $1 billion. But here's the thing. After it made $1 billion, everybody came out of the woodwork saying, well, now they're going to do all these movies and they're all going to make $1 billion. It's like, guys, wait a minute. Remember though, there's only one Mario Brothers. Like Nintendo doesn't have another franchise like the Mario Brothers. It's not saying Nintendo shouldn't make more movies based on other properties. Absolutely there are, but they're not going to be foolish and suddenly think that, well, it was a Nintendo movie, so any movie from Nintendo that we make now is going to make $700 million at the box office. They understood that there's one Mario Brothers. Now they're going to take another swing at it with, I was going to say Link, Zelda. They're taking another swing at it with Zelda, which is a perfect one for them to do next. And we'll see how that goes. But the people who think that, oh, there's a formula. Here was an 80s movie, did a new one of it, and it's a big success. So you can take any 80s movie now. Guys, they have done that. And to not great results. What was the first R-rated comic book movie that did pretty well at the box office? I'm forgetting.
I mean,
it was
Logan,
before
but-
Joker.
Oh, even before all that.
But even before, but like there was an R-rated comic book movie came out saying, no, now they're just going to open the floodgates of R-rated comic book movies because this one came out and did pretty well.
Right.
It's like, guys, remember there was like 15 others that were rated R and they all did badly. So I don't think any studio, by the way, they've been talking about doing a Goonies 2 for a long time, but I don't think any studios out there now going, well, let's just put $200 million into any 80s film. So
No, I mean, 'cause-
I don't think it's going to cost, because again, there was one Beetlejuice.
They did that with Ghostbusters, which was a great success in the 80s. Both of those newer movies only made 200 mil.
Yeah.
They did it with Bill and Ted, whom obviously I love Bill and Ted, but you know, I liked the new one that came out, but it wasn't a box office. It didn't do $1 billion. So, I mean, there've been other 80s movies.
Wasn't it straight to streaming too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the new one went straight to stream. But the Ghostbusters one, and what was the second one you mentioned?
It was Ghostbusters.
But
I forget.
either way-
Maverick did well, so that was an
But yeah,
outlier.
Maverick was a big one, but that was a different kind of movie.
Yeah.
But like Ghostbusters, Bill and Ted, that's a great example of how it's not like taking older properties and picking them back up is something new.
Right.
It's been done and failed. Not horrible failure or stuff like that, but it's not like they're going, oh my gosh, this is the first time ever that we've done an 80s movie and brought it up into modern times. And now let's do all of them. Like, it's every property will be unique unto itself.
Yeah.
Right? Don't look for the formula. And I don't think they're going to look at it there.
Robot
either.
Jocks. Do it.
Robot Jocks.
Give
I
it,
mean, right?
give it justice, baby.
It came out in the 80s. Do no, it's going to be whatever. Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Right? By the way, I like the new Roadhouse.
But that was never going to be $1 billion.
But it was never going to
franchise.
be, it wasn't even going to be a $600 million film. It was never going to be, I mean, it could have made a nice, respectable $200 to $300 million, but it wasn't going to be massive.
No.
All right. What's next?
Tomato Soup says, rewatched Toy Story 4, and a while ago, someone asked for a Best Pixar Easter eggs. The license plate of the car that takes Bo reads RMRF97. In 97, Toy Story 2 was almost erased, and RMRF was the kill code. Someone was on maternity and had backups at home.
This is one of the best behind the scenes stories ever. They actually thought, no, they did. You can go and watch the documentary about it, but Toy Story 2 was literally deleted. They accidentally deleted it before the movie came out, before the movie was finished.
That sucks.
And fortunately, one woman, a hero, who was, I believe, just like you said, I believe was on maternity leave. I think you're right about that. I might be wrong, but I think you're right about that. Actually had a backup hard drive at home
Dang.
with all the files on it. And that saved Toy Story 2.
Oh my God, imagine.
I mean, it's like, you got to go and hear the whole story. It's crazy. Okay, this is on such a smaller scale, but a bunch of years ago, a couple of friends of mine and I made a fan film called Rise of the Trades. It was a mixture of The Godfather and Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. So it was a Star Wars fan film with but it looked at the events of Phantom Menace, but being told like a Godfather story, right? We won a couple of little fan film awards, whatever. Got to go and play it at Star Wars Celebration. Won some awards there for it. A lot of fun. We worked on it for like this little 28-minute mini film. We worked on it for like 2 years. And this is when I was working at a visual effects company. So in my off time, I was working on the fan film. Like I was doing the CGI and I was doing some of the visual effects and things like that and editing. And one day we go out to lunch and we come back to the office and my computer was on fire. My computer was on fire. And I had not backed up my work in like 4 months, 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
Guys, always back up your computers, dude. Always back up your computer. And I remember coming back to the office and there was smoke coming out of my computer. And you know those moments in movies when something shocking happens and the camera zooms into a character's face while the background is zooming away?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was me. As I looked at my computer smoking and it turned off, I did everything I could. I tried every hard drive recovery thing. I even mailed my hard drive off to these services, like $1,000. Mailed it off to some data recovery service that was and they couldn't, it was just all gone. I literally lost 4 to 6 months of work. And I had to spend because I already did it, I was able to redo it a bit faster, but I had to spend the next 3 months just redoing the stuff I had already done. It was horrible. Now, imagine that times 10,000. Like, yeah, Buzz, you know that movie we were working on, Toy Story 2? Like, how married are you to the idea of us actually putting that movie out?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, because the whole thing's gone. Guys, seriously, go look up the little mini documentary on it. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy story. All right, what's next?
Bry Guy says, inspired by your doc, I thought of an idea about a guy whose lifestyle is presented like 30 minutes of movie trailers. Think of a cross between The Truman Show, Stranger Than Fiction, Ben Stiller's The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and Charlie Kaufman films.
I'm not sure I understand what he's getting at. What do
I
you
guess
think
they
he's
would be like
proposing?
little vignettes, maybe, like putting them as little vignettes. Because it says a person's life like presented like 30 minutes of movie trailers. Like, yeah. So maybe like little vignettes of his life.
Through movie trailers.
At least that style of editing. And,
Okay, I see what they're going for. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
And
what's
narration.
next?
Logan Vaughn, when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes, I consider it more relevant for movies released in the past 20 years since they'll often have 300 plus reviews. But movies from the 90s go back will have half that. Is the Rotten Tomato metric worth less the further back in time you go?
No, I don't think so. Remember, a lot of people, it's still shocking to me. I mean, I'm not kidding. Almost every day I see people who completely don't understand how Rotten Tomatoes works. Like almost every day I have to have a conversation with somebody and they'll say, Rotten Tomatoes gave this or that. And like, I don't like Rotten Tomatoes because they give this movie this score. I was like, you do realize Rotten Tomatoes doesn't give scores to movies, right? Yes, it does. They saw this movie and they said it was only a 68. No. There are still so many people that don't get that all Rotten Tomatoes does. Rotten Tomatoes does not give a score to anything. They simply take all the movie reviews that are out there about it, find out how many liked it and how many disliked it, and simply tell you what percentage of all the critics out there liked it and which percentage didn't like it. If a movie has a 71, That means 71% of the critics liked it and 29% of the critics did not like it. Math. That's all it does. That's all it is. So if you go back in time, it doesn't matter if it has 20 reviews or 200 reviews. All that number is telling you is like, of the critics that were putting out reviews at that time, this percentage of them liked it and this percentage of it didn't. So whether you have 10,000 reviews, 1,000 reviews, 500 reviews, 100 reviews, or 40 reviews, the principle is still there. It's just telling you of the prevailing critics at the time, how many of them liked it. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. So yeah, I think the Rotten Tomato score is still as valid as it is for movies that came out in the early 90s versus the ones that came out today. All right, what's next?
Logan Vaughn says, my 2-year-old is now obsessed with Nightmare Before Christmas. It started with the gigantic animatronic skeletons in Lowe's and Sam's Club.
Yep.
Then he saw Jack Skellington on Disney Plus, and he loves the movie. Now every skeleton is Jack Skellington. Well, clearly he has no touch for nuance because those are not Jack Skellington.
All right. So here's the funny thing. My wife has never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas. But
Nor is Ray.
Yeah.
But she knows who Jack is. You know why? Because every Halloween, you go walking around our neighborhood, there's at least 20 giant blow-up balloon things of either Jack Skeleton or the Oogie Boogie or like characters from thing all over. They're so recognizable, even for people who've never seen them, right? Even for people who've never seen A Nightmare Before Christmas. It's kind of funny that way. That's got that kind of an impact. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Twilight Boys back.
Twilight Boy.
RE on the multiverse. How has it caused hard times? All of their worst received post.
Okay, look, we're not going to get into an ongoing discussion.
Yeah, I feel like
here.
this is like a weird debate.
It's just clear. The movies have not been received as well, and thus has put Marvel in the spot that they're in. All right, what's next?
Black Myth Wu-Tang says, if you still haven't watched episode 4 of Rings of Power, when you see this message, make sure to let the credits roll. The old Tom Bombadil song, not a spoiler, it was released 2 weeks ago, which plays during it by Rufus Wainwright, is beautiful. Hi, John, long time. Oh,
Wait, no, that was just
that
one.
was just that. Yeah,
Well, yeah, and it's not a spoiler that Tom Bombadil. They announced months and months and months ago that Tom Bombadil, which Peter Jackson famously left out of his Lord of the Rings movies, that Tom Bombadil is going to be in the show. So that's not a spoiler at all. But I will definitely keep my eye open for that. Thank you. All right, what's next?
Zombie Cubed says, hi, John, longtime Linkin Park fan here. Hybrid Theory was my first album. Twice I had tickets to see them, and the shows were canceled. Once when Chester broke his wrist during a show, and another after he passed. A week ago, I thought LP was done, and now I have tickets to their Brooklyn show. So excited. I love the new singer. Have you seen them live, and will you see them again?
I have seen Linkin Park live. I had a chance to meet Chester, actually, on a couple of occasions. I love Linkin Park. I had no idea. I think I was like a lot of people. I had no idea they were coming back.
Yeah, they were coming back.
I had no idea until that live show dropped the other day. And it was with great skepticism that I sat down to watch the new live show. Guys, I was fucking blown away. I was blown away. And you know what? It's been 7 years since Chester took his life. They've waited long enough. And I didn't know how I felt about them getting a female lead singer. But as Ann and I talked about it, it was like, you know what? This is brilliant. Because if you just went out and got a male lead singer, it wouldn't feel new. And whatever the new singer did, it would just come across to people as he's just trying to impersonate Chester. This girl, I've never heard of her before, but this girl was born with rock star DNA. Like I couldn't believe it. So it has the brilliance of two things. One, she sounds totally new, but two, when they're doing songs like Numb or whatever, it feels new, but also feels familiar. Because first of all, she's got an angelic voice, but when she goes into her power Chester mode, Like she can scream. And I thought she was great. Now I was having this one discussion with somebody. He's like, I don't know if she's all that good. There were a couple times live that she didn't quite hit the notes. And like any of you who've seen Linkin Park live, you know this is true. Chester never used to hit all the notes either live, because those were damn hard songs. They were really hard songs. And even Chester himself, when you listened live, he wouldn't always hit all the notes either. And that was fine because they're ridiculously hard. I think she's amazing. I'm very excited for the new music, like that new what's it called, the what machine, not the depression machine, it's the emptiness machine. What's the name of the new single? It's the new Linkin Park single. It's the something machine. Guys in the live chat, if you know what it is, anyway. But the emptiness machine. Thank you, King Daddy Goat. The emptiness machine. When I listen to that, I'm like, this is new, but it feels like a Linkin Park song.
Oh, it's called the emptiness machine. I got it.
Yeah.
I just said that.
You got it right.
I just want to let you know.
Oh, thank you. Just to confirm, it is the emptiness machine.
Cool, thanks.
But it's phenomenal. It sounds great. I cannot wait to hear more music from them. I thought it was remarkable. All right, what's next?
All right, we're gonna move on to our member questions.
Great.
Charles Becerra says from Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Nice. I love Montreal.
Got a bone to pick with you, mon ami. Never had a Shogun after show. I know, I get it. You were just flooded with other work, but it feel for the weeks, I get it. But just warning you, when season 2 and 3, fingers crossed for more, come out, you better do something, or we're gonna have a Donnie Brook.
Ooh.
You get me? What's a Donnie Brook?
Yeah, I think I'm done doing after shows. I think I'm done. Number one, like, I am not going back. You know, about a year or two ago, we made some major changes. And one of the reasons that I made major changes, it wasn't the main crux, but one of the major reasons I made major changes was that I was working 14, 15, 16, 17 hours a day. And my wife, who had been incredibly patient with me for the first 5 years that I was doing the John Campea Show after leaving AMC and Collider, she was starting to lose her patience with me too. Like every day, every afternoon, and every night I was working. And I'm, I just don't want to go. Plus, when Shogun is done, let's say an episode is done, when do I do the after show? The next evening? Well, my wife may want us to do. I worked all day. My wife wants to do stuff with me that evening. And then you get into situations like, what's one show that Rings of Power, right? I wanted to do Rings of Power after show, did it, but then I started to hate the show, so I stopped doing it. And I had to do that several times with several shows. Like, hey, we're going to do an after show for this show. But then I don't like the show. And I'm like, well, now I got to top out and we're not going to do it anymore. So I don't know. Look, okay. I'm not saying I will definitely not do any more after shows. I'm not saying that, but I'm thinking about never doing another after show.
And just because the type of show it is, it's going to be hard not to do an after show for Severance season 2, just because of the mystery behind everything. Severance, that's one where I think if not do an after show, maybe during the show, maybe have like a 5-minute Severance talk. You know what I mean? Just like a little thing where like, did you guys see the episode last night? What do you think this person is or what they're doing? I don't know.
But even that has to be that you can't even do that on the show. And what was a recent really good show?
That was worth talking about, like the next day.
Well, and what's been a recent, like even House of the Dragon, right?
Oh yeah.
Like House of the Dragon would come out and people would say, like I remember with this one week we did, the day after the House of the Dragon came out, we didn't talk about it on the next day show. Why aren't you talking about House of the Dragon?
Yeah.
Because it's not fun talking about a show when you can't go into details.
We can never do anything right.
It's just not fun. It's not fun having to dance around and tiptoe around. Oh, what can we say and what can't we say? It's just not fun. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do more after shows. Maybe we won't. I I'm not really sure. I'll tell you one thing I am considering bringing back. Okay. One thing I am considering bringing back is Ann and I are talking about maybe doing movie club again. And because Ann wants to do it with me.
Good.
And like where once a week or once every 2 weeks, pick an older movie. Like we were just talking about that Ryan Reynolds, Amy Smart movie, Just Friends. And it's like something like that. Like that movie's awesome. And then telling everybody at least a week in advance, guys, our next movie club is going to be on this. Go watch it. And then we'll have a big thing about it. So we're talking about it. We'll see. All right. Space Window is saying, just put spoiler talk in the title. That doesn't help. Then nobody, who's going to watch the John Campea show if they don't want last night's episode of the show to be, so we'd be killing our show. If we do that. So it's more complicated than you think. Not to mention it's a big time commitment. And anyway, we'll think about it. All right. What's next?
Okay. Joel says, I think if it's good, I can see Gladiator 2 making anywhere between 400 and 700 million at the box office, 5 to 10% chance at $1 billion. Yeah, probably less. More popular than Top Gun, but less accessible due to our rating, and obviously no Crow Maximus.
It's going to be very interesting to see, because it's Gladiator 2, but it's not like Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, you had Michael Keaton back, you had Winona Ryder back, you had Catherine O'Hara back. That we are not getting Gladiator back. Maximus isn't there. The Gladiator is not going to be in the sequel. But everybody remembers Gladiator so well. If the movie's great, and I have my doubts it'll be great. I hope it's great. I'm keeping my fingers crossed it's great, but I have my doubts it's going to be great because I'll be honest with you, I don't believe in Ridley Scott anymore. If I was voting for Hollywood Hall of Fame, I would put Ridley Scott in the Hall of Fame, no problem. But the Ridley Scott of the last 15 years, I don't believe in him anymore. And I finally got to that heartbreaking point after Napoleon. I was on the edge with it with The Last Duel, and I was on the edge of it with the House of Gucci, and I was on the edge of it a few other movies, but Napoleon was finally the one. That movie I thought looked so great, and it's so bad, and it's like I just don't believe in it anymore. So I don't know that I have a lot of confidence that Gladiator 2 is going to be all that good, but I hope it will be. And if it is, I think you're right. I think 400 to 700 million is in play. Big outside shot at $1 billion, but I think 400 to 700 million, if the movie is awesome, could be in play.
I'm at 450 with that one too.
450 if it's good.
Which
if it's
happens
good,
to be the same amount of the first one, almost the same amount that the first one made.
It was 450.
It was 465.
All right. What's next?
Let's see. Joel Hallen says, "Hey, John and crew, hope your day is going well. So wanted to know what you thought of Terminator Zero, if you've seen it. It was awesome. Thanks, Bring on the Filthy."
Nah, I haven't seen. I'm not going to rush to see it either. But I will say this: the trailer looked really good.
I was trying to watch it when I was here on Saturday, but I ended up watching something else. I forgot what it was. It wasn't memorable what I ended up watching. Let's put it that way.
You know what I forgot to talk about today? I meant to talk about this today, and I totally forgot. When the Emmy nominations came out, what did I say was going to win Best Animated Series? Blue Eye Samurai.
Oh, Blue Eye Samurai, sorry.
Blue Eye Samurai. And everybody said, John, you're crazy. X-Men 97 is going to win. I'm like, no, it ain't. Anyway.
Did it win?
Blue Eye Samurai won Best Animated Series. Good. Absolutely 100% the right choice. That was another show I had no interest in watching it, and then I started watching it and I couldn't stop. It's an amazing show. If you guys haven't seen Blue Eye Samurai, go watch it. It just beat X-Men 97 and everything else for Best Animated Show of the Year, and it totally deserved it. It's that good. I loved X-Men 97. Blue Eyed Samurai is definitely the Best Animated Show of the Year. Go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. 100% the right show won. All right, what's next?
James says, do you think Paramount will use Snake Eyes actors in their Transformers G.I. Joe movie?
No.
To help promote their back catalog, maybe easier for audience to accept a crossover if they feel like it's two actual things to cross over. Plus, Linkin Park return just in time for some end credit music.
No, because nobody saw Snake Eyes.
They'd be like, who was in it?
Like, check it, double check it, Ray. How much money did Snake Eyes make?
Oh, go ahead.
I have it here.
Like, only people who saw Snake Eyes
Right.
would recognize anything, and nobody saw Snake Eyes.
40 million worldwide.
40 million worldwide.
Yeah. I mean, you literally could just say those people were in it.
More than that.
you could say those people were in it, and people were like, all right, cool, they were in it.
So there's two reasons why they would never do it. Number one, Snake Eyes completely sucked, and they don't want the stench of that failure being brought over into
More like
this.
Stank Eyes.
And number two, nobody would recognize who was in it because nobody saw Snake Eyes. So no. All right, what's next?
All right. Dude Vince says, hey, John and crew, that might be into sports. What did you think of the crazy win the Chicago Bears got yesterday? As a lifelong Bears fan, I felt like it was the most Bears way they could possibly win. Thanks for all you guys do.
Caleb Williams is definitely a rookie. And they only won that game because of that stupid, desperate underhand shuttle the other quarterback did. But hey, listen, a win's a win. It was an ugly win. Maybe not the most deserving. I don't even think Caleb Williams threw for 100 yards. By the way, how about that Baker Mayfield? How about that Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay? Threw for nearly 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Meanwhile,
The Renaissance.
In Cleveland, where they got rid of his ass so they could sign Deshaun Watson at the time to the largest contract in NFL history, bust. Total bum. Total bust. And they shipped Baker Mayfield's ass out of town after he took them to the playoffs. They shipped his ass out of town, and what's he been doing? Oh, just lighten it up. No big deal. No big deal. Coming in to replace Tom Brady?
Way to put it to them.
And he took Tampa Bay to the playoffs? Meanwhile, over in Cleveland, they shipped his ass out for frickin' Watson, who ain't done shit. And they still, by the way, it's still the highest guaranteed contract of all time.
Is he still young?
Deshaun, yeah.
Oh yeah, because he played for the Texans, right?
Yeah, he played for the Texans.
That was who
and then he
drafted him.
played for the happy ending hand jobs from all the masseuses that he sexually abused.
Oh my God, I just know what you're talking.
Yep. Then he was suspended for an entire year.
Oh my Lord.
And then he came back and he's been a total bust. The most expensive bust in history. Good on them.
You know something?
And I hope Baker continues to light it up and make the Cleveland brass cry.
You know, some players play great. Tiger Woods. And then some players don't play great. Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun, yeah, I mean, it's just, I like, there's something I love when a team ships out somebody who is totally loyal to them and had success for them because they thought they saw the new shinier toy. And when that guy goes on and lights it up and the thing they brought in totally busts.
Maybe they just didn't give Mayfield the surrounding he needed. And they really didn't. He really didn't have the tools he needed to actually succeed.
Well,
there.
remember, he had success in Cleveland, took them to the playoffs for the first time forever. And then in his final year in Cleveland, he had a wrecked shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And he was being recommended, you should take the year off. And it's like, team needs me. And he played through the injury because the team needed him. And what was his reward for playing through the injury because the team needed him? They shipped his ass out.
Yeah, they're pushing him towards greatness. That's what's happening.
Yeah, that's right.
You make a person feel like they're at the bottom of the barrel. Only a few special ones will go beyond, everything just to prove you wrong.
Yep. And he's been lighting it up ever since. All right, what's next?
All right. Ron Swanson says, hey, John and crew, long time, first time. Do you think Marvel has any surprise Disney Plus shows lined up for us this holiday season? Similar to how they dropped What If and Echo last year. I'm really excited for Agatha this Halloween season. I think this is the least likely year that they will be dropping anything secret.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're pulling back so much.
Echo wasn't a secret. I mean, we knew Echo was coming forever. And what was the other one? He mentioned Echo and what
Echo
else?
And What If.
Yeah, that wasn't a surprise either. So no, I don't suspect.
Yeah,
I mean, the only thing that they could quote unquote surprise us with is shows that we know are coming. Like if they, hey, we've decided to drop Ironheart early or something like that. But no, I don't,
some random special presentation again. But I don't think so.
But yeah, not that we know of. So probably not. Unfortunately, God, I would kill for another Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. I would kill for obviously won't happen, but I would kill for one of those. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
Okay. Let's see. We got Callum who says, "Hey crew, do you think they'll involve some of the female cast from Ocean's 8 into the new Ocean's movie, or just use the original cast?"
I think they'll incorporate some of the like at minimum. I think they'll incorporate Sandra Bullock at minimum. I think then it's possible if they can get Kate Blanchett, and I just had her name in my head. I'm always freezing on her name. She played Catwoman.
Oh, I know. Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, thank you. So I don't know if they'll get Awkwafina and a bunch of the other characters, but I definitely Sandra Bullock. I let's put it this way. I'd be surprised if they didn't bring Sandra Bullock over because she's supposed to be his sister.
Right.
And then maybe Anne Hathaway and Kate Blanchett. But I think definitely they'll bring in at minimum his sister, but we'll see.
Unless Kate is filming Borderlands 2. She
Yes,
might be busy
because
with
the
that.
high demand for Borderlands 2 at this point. All right, what's next?
We got. Oh, we're gonna do another one. Then we got.
That was supposed to be it. All right, we'll do one more. I said we'd do
okay.
one more.
Yeah.
All right. Matt says hello. Says, "Hey, John and company. Massive love from London, England. What makes a film a cult classic?"
There's
It's
no
subjective.
formula.
We've been asked that before. And
Yeah,
I
we've been
don't
asked that
remember.
many times. There's no formula to it. I mean,
It just happens, right?
it's not what makes a film a cult classic. It's why do certain films get categorized as that? I think what becomes a cult classic is something that was like overlooked, not that popular in its initial run,
Right.
but ultimately got itself a big following.
Right.
Right. I think that's what I think that's what then makes something classified, but you can't like set out to make a cult classic.
No.
Well,
Right?
our TV series.
Yes.
Could you consider?
You can have TV series that
would
are cult
Suits
classics.
be considered a cult classic?
I
now?
think that's a great example. Like Suits, nobody had the USA Network when Suits was on.
Oh, yeah.
Despite the fact that it had
Yeah.
like 7 seasons, nobody watched Suits. And then all of a sudden it comes out on Netflix and it was the #1 show in the world for like how many? Like
I don't even remember.
like it
but
was
I know
like
we had plenty of
forever
stories.
the #1 show in the world. It was crazy, but so you can get TV shows that are cult classics and stuff like that, but I think it's always something that comes after the fact. You can't set out to make
Yeah.
a cult classic. It's something that happens later on.
It has to be organic.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget to come on back and join us again tomorrow. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora,
Yeah, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voiko.
See you guys later.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends,